Oh snap, we're back already with more Fire Emblem Heroes content. Welcome back. Today, I actually wanted to focus on the different game modes in FEH, namely the timed events, so all of the modes that are like in the events tab on the main screen of the game. I mostly want to rank those, but I threw in these other ones as well. Yeah, I just thought this would be fun. This is another idea for a video I had kind of laying around for a while, kind of like that COYL refine video. Speaking of which, thank you all for the thoughtful comments on that video. I appreciate it. Alright, I think we're ready to begin. Well, hold on. So I should say a little bit about my criteria, although admittedly I have not thought about it that much. My criteria is mostly the gameplay, how fun is the gameplay in the actual game mode. The rewards, I don't know if I should consider the rewards at all, honestly. I can think of a couple cases where the rewards are worth mentioning, but otherwise, I really think I should just judge them based on how fun they are, you know? Also, the time commitment, you know? If a game mode doesn't really require that much time of you, then I might go easy on it. But yeah, I'd say that's about it for my criteria. Let me throw in another tier real quick. Nope. Let's start with, the first one here is Lost Lore, so I guess we'll start with that one. Yeah, so Lost Lore, it is what it is. It requires no gameplay, really. You just pick the bonus unit correlating with whatever the game is. If it's Binding Blade, then you choose Binding Blade characters. You know how it is. You just it's kind of like a set and forget game mode. You really only have to check back with it every day, like once a day. Pretty inoffensive, although I will say the gameplay is very shallow. I guess there's some value with like that final boss battle at the end where it's like you kind of get some feedback while you're trying to fight them, and you can like redo your team to, you know, to fight better against that. But I don't know. I don't know how much thought people actually put into those boss battles. Yeah. Lost Lore is inoffensive, I would say. I don't think it belongs all the way down here because it just requires so little time of you. So let's say high D tier, maybe a low C tier. There is some content at the end of the Lost Lore where it gives like a story recap from one of the games, but I don't know about you guys. I have never, literally never read them because aren't they just recaps of things that happened in the games? I guess there's some value there because it's the first time the Thracia and Genealogy games are like being described to us in America. But all right. No more deliberating over Lost Lore. Nobody cares. We're moving on. Voting Gauntlet. Oh, geez. Another game mode that I have a lot to say about. Voting Gauntlet is actually the worst game mode in the game, and it's not for the reason you think. Everybody hates Voting Gauntlet because of the multipliers, which is understandable. The most recent Voting Gauntlet, it was the summer Voting Gauntlet with Hilda and Caspar and Freya. I got walloped so badly in that Voting Gauntlet. I started on Team Hilda. I lost to Caspar in in an upset victory. Then in the last round, I was on Team Freya, and we lost again in another upset victory, and Caspar won. So it's frustrating, but I think there is some value in there. Just, you know, it is what it is. It doesn't matter who wins. It's just kind of funny sometimes. It results in some amusing things happening. I would say the biggest value with Voting Gauntlet used to be just the fan art and stuff that people would make for it, kind of inspired by the results. I think the community aspect is like the theoretical highlight of Voting Gauntlet, but then whether it's because of the multipliers or because there's no real stakes, like people just don't care about it, and I understand why. The reason why Voting Gauntlet is the worst game mode, by the way, I never said it. It's because out of all the game modes on here, This is the one I'm most likely to just miss orbs on, because there are like those quests we get where it's play Voting Gauntlet 5 times, and you only have 2 days, and if you don't do it, then you're screwed. And there's that window at the end of each round, like after 11 p.m., where the day hasn't reset yet, but Voting Gauntlet is done. In that window, that's when I go through all the screens and make sure I'm caught up on everything. So a lot of times I miss the orbs from Voting Gauntlet. Yeah, it's whatever. I'll leave it in C tier. I'm gonna cut in some more audio here in post, because I want to talk more about the multipliers. Yeah, people really hate the multipliers, and my thing is just, I think Voting Gauntlet would be extremely boring without the multipliers. Like, it would be just busy work, and the winner of each Voting Gauntlet would just be very obvious at the start of the round. That's how it was for the first couple of Voting Gauntlets, and it just wasn't that interesting. I know there was a couple standout cases, like the Ephraim and Kron battle that everyone talks about, but really, it was mostly just curb stomps, and I feel like the multipliers are a necessary evil, because if you're on a team that's, outmatched 1 to 10, then why else would you be engaged in the game mode if not for multipliers? Like, the multipliers are your only chance. So, I think the multipliers are necessary. Maybe, ideally, they would replace them with like a more strategic way you could do an upset victory, but just try to put together a strategy where you're cooperating with your actual teammates in Voting Gauntlet, and it's not easy. I bet you didn't expect me to talk about Voting Gauntlet for 4 minutes. I guess one more thing I could say about Voting Gauntlet is I believe this was the first game mode where you could actually use your friends' units, and that is actually pretty cool. I actually like that aspect of it, so I'll give it points for that. Alright, we're over it. Up next, Forging Bonds. Forging Bonds? My impression is that people really like Forging Bonds because of the support conversations. It's like brand new dialogue for these characters, and some of them are like really old, like the FE1 characters, or FE6 or 7 characters. They haven't had like new dialogue in so long, and you get interesting character interactions, like with Leon's, and he was interacting with like his evil version. Yeah, you get some cool stuff in the support conversations in Voting Gauntlet, or Forging Bonds. I will say that is definitely the highlight of it. Perhaps one of the highlights of the entire game, right? Like, if you're someone who doesn't like the gameplay of FEH and you don't like the business model, the only redeeming thing about it might just be the new character development that you get from games or from modes like Forging Bonds. So I'll give it points for that. I would say the support conversations essentially are the rewards for Forging Bonds, but I'll say this is like the one case where I think it makes sense to count the rewards in its favor. That said, the gameplay in Forging Bonds is garbage, and I'm surprised people don't trash it more often, because it is throwaway content. It may as well just be training tower quests. You put together a team, you give them accessories, it messes up your whole accessory preferences, because now you have to redo all your accessories, and you just fight random units on random maps, and it's throwaway content. I think everybody just auto battles it. I used to do it manually, but I lost patience for it. Yeah. I auto battle it, and then I set it so that the support conversations don't come up while I'm auto battling, so I end up not reading the support conversations. I have to go back later and read them. I'll sit down and I'll go through the event recap, and I'll read through like 5 Forging Bonds in a row. I don't know why I keep thinking of Voting Gauntlet. If the gameplay in Forging Bonds was better, I think you can make a case for S tier, but the gameplay is garbage, so B tier. Tap Battle. Starting off with all the bangers, we got Voting Gauntlet, Lost Lore, and Tap Battle. Tap Battle was really kind of cool in the first place. It's just a rhythm game. It speaks for itself. Some people were really into it. I always think of one person on my Twitter feed who just really fucking loves Tap Battle. They would like max out their score and like get a perfect score on every level. Yeah, some people really enjoy Tap Battle. The problem is we haven't gotten a new Tap Battle in like a year and a half, 2 years. I have no idea. It's been a long time. It's hard to grade it because it's been so long since I've played it. And then for a while, they only did rerun Tap Battles, and those were awful because it's just recycled gameplay, recycled music. The rewards aren't as good, so good idea, bad execution. I think Tap Battle is D tier, which is a shame too because the gameplay is fine. Honestly, it's just everything around it just kind of sucks. One more point in Tap Battle's favor is that you can actually customize your difficulty too. You can set the speed to 2 times or 3 times speed. It's kind of neat. Tempest Trials. Yeah, this is a weird one to try and rank because it has arguably the best rewards because you get new units and you get new sacred seals. And to be fair, sometimes you also get some interesting character interactions, right? Like Marth and Mia, or like Seliph and Sigurd. There's some cool stuff in there every once in a while. And just recently we had the 2-part Tempest Trials where it was Nifl and then Surtur. There's some cool stuff going on in there, I guess, but you can already kind of tell where I'm going with this. The gameplay is just, it's stale at this point. They haven't mixed up the gameplay in Tempest Trials in forever. So it's stale. I don't really care about it anymore. I'll play the first couple of times because they changed it so that you get 10,000 points the first time you play on the first day if you do the highest difficulty, but besides that, I just auto battle just to make sure I get all the rewards. I remember going back to the first year of the game, I think some of the most fun I had was actually in those first couple of Tempest Trials because they were themed around the different games and not around the seasonal events, and you could build well, I guess you wouldn't build theme teams, but I got to use Lyn in the FE7 Tempest Trials, and I got to I gave her Escape Route and Gale Force, and Desperation is on her weapon, so she could just warp around the map killing everything. I had her set up with 3 dancers. Tempest Trials used to be cool, but the voting gauntlet, holy shit. The what the fuck word am I thinking of? The novelty wore off. Any word that has a V in it, I'm just doomed to say voting gauntlet. My mind is cursed, okay. Sidebar, I actually made this template myself, and I just found it amusing because I got these images from the Learn from Sharena website. It's the only time I've used that website for anything, so shout out to Learn with Sharena, a good resource. Mjolnir Strike. Mjolnir Strike is a game mode that definitely needed a remix after a while, and to their credit, it actually did get remixed. We can use the summoner now, and with the new mythics, you can deploy another pair of units, and yeah, I do appreciate when they at least try to revamp these old game modes. But yeah, I don't know, Mjolnir Strike, I'm kind of torn on it. The gameplay is it's a good twist on the core gameplay. I think you get to actually use pair up. I think for a lot of people, this is the only mode where they really get to use pair up, because if you don't have any of the new legendaries, then you just don't get to use pair up. I guess except for Allegiance battles. Yeah, I think I'll give Mjolnir Strike points just for having a good twist on the gameplay, being moderately difficult. I think I'll subtract points just because, I still don't understand how the scoring works. I think the idea is that if you have highly merged mythics, you're supposed to be able to score really well and get tier 21 every week. But if that's the case, then just most people are going to be locked out of that. So, the cutscene that plays after you do a Mjolnir Strike map, or no, it's the cutscene that plays when you're in the counter phase. Even if you choose to skip it, it still takes 5 seconds. just a pet peeve I have with Mjolnir Strike. Another pet peeve I have is like Thor was introduced to the story and then they just forgot about her completely. Okay, that's not super important. Yeah, I guess Mjolnir Strike kind of lands in mid B tier. The way I'm looking at it is everything above B tier is like good to okay, and then everything below, like C tier and below, is kind of the not so good ones. I could see myself moving Tempest Trials like down here. Next up, we have a winner, Grand Conquest. Grand Conquest is a mode where you can use your friend units, and I think that's just really cool. I remember all the way back in like the first year of the game, I remember you get to use your friend's units in Voting Gauntlet, and I was like, this is really cool. I think I literally submitted player feedback saying that I wanted a game mode where you could use your friend's units. And I think after that we got Grand Conquest, so I'm not saying that I'm responsible for Grand Conquest, but it was basically exactly what I wanted. I think it may have been like the one time where they actually explicitly asked for player feedback. It was like a survey you could fill out. That was a long time ago. But yeah, Grand Conquest is fun because you get to load up your brigade with really overpowered units from your friends list and just come up with ways to clear maps really quickly. Like for flyer bonus and cavalry bonus, you can just run Gale Force teams, or you can like pile on a bunch of buffs onto a Myr and have her kill everything on the first turn. Yeah, Grand Conquest is cool. Whenever flyer bonus comes up in Grand Conquest, I always make sure I'm like the top scoring player for the entire round on my team. I'm also really anal about making sure I get exactly 16,000 points every time, because that's like the max points you can get. So my final score is always a multiple of 16,000. Humble brag, I guess. I wish they would run it more often. I don't know why they delegated it to only being, maybe once every 3 months. Rokkr Siege is an interesting one. You fight a boss, and you try and inflict as much damage as possible, and that's basically it. I think it's kind of fun building like really specialized teams to beat whatever the boss is. Like if it's a sword unit, you like pile up your units with sword breaker and whatever else. Yeah, there's some cool stuff you can do in Rokkr Siege. I think kind of like Mjolnir Strike, it's a good mix-up of the core gameplay. I'm gonna put Tempest Trials down here, I decided. I also like that you can equip your units with Noontime, and they'll fully heal themselves every time when it activates, because damage is multiplied by like 80. Yeah, pretty cool. One thing I don't like about Rokkr Siege is that for the final round, they'll usually have the boss be like a cav healer or something. Something that's just harder to get a bunch of points on, basically, and that irks me. That's my only gripe, though. When my friends ask me about Fire Emblem Heroes, I usually say something along the lines of, it's got all these game modes, and most of them are just chores to hold you over until you can summon again, which I think is mostly true. I feel like a lot of the player base would agree with that. Summoning is actually the best game mode, it's just not on here. Hall of Forms. Everybody likes Hall of Forms. It kind of puts everybody on the same playing field. Having a bunch of strong units in your barracks won't help you. Having a bunch of strong units in your friends list won't help you. Like, everybody is dealt the same cards, and you get to just level up your units and give them cool skills, and it's cool. It gives you a way to actually access skills that you wouldn't be able to use otherwise. It's just kind of fun to load up these older units with really overpowered skills. One thing I don't like is when they just give us a team full of armor units, and you're like, if you're like me, you don't even like using armor units in normal gameplay, so it's like, why would I want to use them in Hall of Forms? But yeah, Hall of Forms is a good game mode, everybody likes it. I think the Forma Souls kind of make it interesting too, because it's like, if you're planning to use a Form of Soul, then it changes your strategy, because now you're trying to give as many kills as possible to that one unit that you're trying to use the Form of Soul on. Do we have any Frontline Phalanx gamers in chat? Yeah, Frontline Phalanx is like... It's like the butt of the joke of all events. It came out, people didn't get it, everybody put their shields on Alencia, and they scored big. That was fun when that first happened. Yeah, I don't even know how to describe Frontline Phalanx. Like, if you know, you know. I think there's some interesting ideas there, because I think it's the only game mode where it's the entire player base versus one boss. That's just kind of a cool idea, and you're like, you know, piling up damage over the course of a couple days trying to beat it. Yeah, I don't know. It's a neat idea. I don't know if I like how it's executed. I know people don't like how the information is displayed, because it's kind of misleading. On the default screen, it tells you like your max percent for winning, but that's not your actual percent for winning. It's like your max. It's weird. The other idea is that, like, the more people contribute to a character, the less likely they are to win. So it's kind of like a prisoner's dilemma, but not really. And then there's the whole thing with the shields, where you want to use your shields at a good time, strategically, excuse me. With the shields, I feel like if you don't use your shields in the first day, then like you're just screwed, because for the rest of the event, like the shield gauge will be like a quarter full, and you're like, okay, well, why would I use my shield here then if we're not going to get the bonus, you know? I don't know. Yeah, that's the idea, is you want to use your shields when like the shield gauge is almost full, because that's when everybody else is using their shields. But you can still use it at other times and get big points. Yeah, not gonna pretend I understand Frontline Phalanx. It's kind of like Lost Lore. It's inoffensive because you just have to check into it every once in a while, and that's it. It's kind of lame that the boss is just the same thing 3 times in a row. It's like 3-star Ashnard, 4-star Ashnard, then 5-star Ashnard. It'd be cool if there was like some kind of progression there, like Kronya, then Solon, then Flame Emperor, you know, just as an example. I'll put Frontline Phalanx here, I guess. And I think that bumps Lost Lore down to D tier. There we go. Another banger. Pawns of Loki. Pawns of Loki is another game mode where you can use your friends' units, and you know that I like those. Pawns of Loki is cool because it's like a pretty big mix-up of the core gameplay. Like everything is different, but also everything is the same, because all your skills, like the bond skills and the solo skills, they all translate over pretty intuitively. So that's cool. Save skills still work the way you would think. Sabotage skills, like it's pretty cool. I actually like it quite a bit. And really, when it comes to the friends list, I don't know about you guys, but half the fun of FEH is showing off your overpowered unit that you put all your resources into. Kind of by design, that's what FEH is for, because you're kind of inadvertently giving people FOMO, but that's kind of a more cynical view of it. The more benign way of looking at it is just, you know, you get to use all your friends' cool units that they put all their hard work and time into. Ever since they released Tier 11 for Pawns of Loki, I've managed to stay in Tier 11 every time. I'm waiting until I get dropped out. I lucked out because my friends list has so many like stupid, dumb, overpowered units. I have like a +10 Niffle in there now. There's a +10 Legendary Tiki that has close save. There's like a +10 Armored Eden. Like all these crazy units I get to use in Pawns of Loki. And I actually think it's good that they run it so frequently, because like they recognize that people actually like it, so they're running it more often. I'm gonna cut in some more audio here in post, because I just have so much to say about Pawns of Loki, and also Grand Conquest by extension, because I want to talk about the friends list specifically. I think, just speaking of having a representative unit and stacking them up with strong skills, specializing them for Pawns of Loki is always fun. You know, just slapping HP +5 on them is I don't know. I don't want to say it's inherently fun, but it's like everybody on your friends list is on the same page suddenly. Everyone's like, all right, time to equip HP +5. Let's do this. I think it's gratifying to see your friends helped go up on that one menu where it displays that. I have like 47,000 friends helped right now. And I think the way it got so high was when Grand Conquest first came out. I think my lead was a +10 church key with Gale Force, and people just used her over and over again for quick clears. And I think I got literally thousands of friends helped that way. And since then, it's just been really high, and it's been a point of pride for me. But no more bragging. No more bragging for the rest of this video, I promise. Instead, I want to talk about a pretty big weakness with Grand Conquest and Pawns of Loki, and it's just that for your friends list, there's really no incentive for veteran players to add new players to their friends list. And that kind of locks out new players from enjoying these game modes to the full extent, because if you're a veteran player, why would you add someone to your friends list that sent you a request and they only have like a level 38 Anna as their lead, you know? Why would you add them instead of like, I don't know, a +10 Dorcas or something? I've thought about this so much that I actually have like a quasi-solution in mind. I was mentioning earlier, it's gratifying when people use your unit to help them in Grand Conquest and whatever other game modes. I think it'd be really cool if in your friends list it said how long ago they last used your lead unit to help them. Or maybe they could even have like a counter, like this friend used your lead unit this many times. Because then you can get, like, if you get a friend request from a new player and you're like, oh, they want to use my unit or they just want to be friends with me, you can look through your friends list, and if you see someone who hasn't used your lead unit ever and you haven't used theirs, then you can just remove them and not feel bad about it. I always feel bad removing people because I don't know who is and who is not using my lead unit. So, there you go. There's your solution, IS. I won't even charge you for it. It's free. It's a free idea. And that's actually it for all of the timed events. The rest of these are like separate. Yeah, I was actually perfectly okay with like just doing these guys for the video. If I had known it was going to take me this long to rank all of these, then I would have just left these off, but I mean, I can just quickly go through them. Rival Domains is whatever, it's kind of stale at this point. I auto-battle it every month or every week. Arena Assault has gotten better, but only because so few people are actually willing to try in it anymore. Because of that, it's actually not that hard to get like a high rank in Arena Assault. You can do a run and lose a unit and still get top 3000 in Arena Assault. So Arena Assault is a lot more bearable now, and it gives you an excuse to build a lot of units that you wouldn't have bothered with otherwise. Like, I probably would have foddered my Rinka by now if I wasn't using her to counter Crom in Arena Assault. So, this is alright. Allegiance Battles. Ever since they introduced Resonant Battles, Allegiance Battles has been every other week, but it feels like it's just never. AB is cool. I actually kind of like it. Once again, you can use your friends' units, and you get to use Pair Up in a game mode that actually has consequences. It's neat. Annoying sometimes. Like, Sacred Stones week, I don't know about you guys, but when they run Sacred Stones units in Allegiance Battles, like, it's always so hard for me. With Dusel and stuff running around. Arena is vanilla. I'll just put it like here. And Resonant Battles, it kind of reminds me of Mjolnir Strike, where it's just like kind of a neat kind of mix-up of the core gameplay. Yeah, I guess that's what we're looking at. You can tell I have kind of like mixed feelings on a lot of these. I can move some things around, like this can go down here. Honestly, Frontline Phalanx can probably go down here too. I guess I didn't put anything in F tier, which is interesting. I guess every game mode has has some redeeming quality. That's the takeaway here. At the last second, I'm making an adjustment here because I feel like Mjolnir Strike and Rokkr Siege and Arena Assault, like, they don't need to be that high on the tier list, let's be honest. So I'll just come in here and do this real quick. There we go, now it's a more even distribution. Whatever. Thank you for watching the video, I appreciate it. What is your favorite game mode? Let me know. Do you agree with my picks? You probably don't, but that's okay. Go ahead and subscribe. I may or may not make more FEH content. I actually don't know. I'm just kind of going through all the old ideas I had because I thought it'd be fun to do them kind of all in a row. Alright, that's it. Thanks for watching.